Hey everybody, hope you are doing well. So, last few days I've been feeling a little under the weather. I've been having flu-like symptoms and had to go get a test for COVID. There's a backlog on everything, and so unfortunately, until the test results come in, I am considered quarantined. That can take up to 14 days for the test result to come in, and if the results come in and I have COVID and not some other virus, I'm quarantined nevertheless. It is a draining illness. But because of this, I decided to make a little video in regards to viruses in general. Viruses are an interesting part of biology, in that they are basically their makeup, their structure is some form of genetic material encapsulated in a protein or a group of proteins. There has been debate in science on whether the viruses are alive or not. That may sound odd to you, but bacteria, so you have the Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, E. coli, Salmonella, all these other virus or bacteria are all alive. They meet the criteria. They take in nutrients. They multiply. They live a life, though it tends to be very short. A virus is completely reliant upon a host cell. So basically, all they are is a fragment of genetic material, and it's encapsulated into a protein. They are extremely small, a lot smaller than bacteria, and are very hard to detect with a microscope. It takes an extremely powerful microscope to detect these. So every virus has a host. It has to have a host cell. Some viruses can infect multiple species. Others are species specific. Viruses can evolve with each replication. A mutation can happen and cause this virus to change from what it originally was to a different virus. That's the reason for vaccinations. Why vaccinations are so important. If we can keep every person from getting, the vast majority of people from getting these viruses, then the virus will not mutate. So we can eradicate viruses, seemingly. There was a number of them that were eradicated, but have since come back with the certain movements, as far as social movements in regards to vaccinations. I'm not going to get into one way or the other, but let's just as a representation, you have 10 people who have been vaccinated for a virus, and then you have 10 people that have not. With each host, there's a chance that virus mutates to where the vaccinations that the other 10 people have no longer work. So that is the importance of vaccination. Things like chicken pox, and there are many viruses. Chicken pox in and of itself is not a extremely dangerous virus. I remember having chicken pox as a kid. It's something that years ago every kid got. If they didn't get it when they were kids, it was rougher on them when they got it as adults. They would always say the thing about chicken pox is that if you've had the virus when you were young, that virus is dormant in your body and can be reactivated in the form of shingles, which can be extremely painful and potentially dangerous. But I'm kind of got off topic. Viruses themselves, the way they work, there are a couple different, some of them are so small they can pass through the phospholipid bilayer of the cell membrane and go directly into the host cell. Others, the proteins that they are made up of react or connect with reactor molecules that are on the cell membrane, on the outside of the cell membrane. So basically how this works is this there are certain proteins, certain metabolites, certain things that react with these receptors on the outside of cells, cells in your body. Cells in every living thing is made up of a cell. So these reactor proteins pick this up and it gives a signal to intake something or expel something, or when this reactor molecule is activated, it causes something to happen. These viruses, the proteins of these viruses will be made in such a way that they connect with these reactor molecules, which can be extremely specific and only, but they'll be made in a way that these viruses will be have a shape that will react with these reactor molecules and have and it will fool the cell into taking the virus into itself. The virus itself does not replicate. It does not go through asexual reproduction in cells. It doesn't go through mitosis or meiosis like bacteria or anything from bacteria up the cells do. Basically what happens, this bit of genetic material, whether it be single-stranded or whether it be double-stranded DNA, single-stranded DNA, it can also be double-stranded RNA and just RNA itself. These once this virus gets inside the cell, it tricks the cell into replicating and reading the RNA. It replicates the RNA, DNA, the genetic material, and it also replicates the protein and encapsulates that genetic material into the protein, which is then expelled outside of the cell, a lot of times killing the host cell itself. The reactions you get a lot of times through things like the flu and common cold, and the novel coronavirus, the aches, the fever, and things like the fever in particular is a way that your body is heating up, trying to destroy the virus. Over time, a lot of these viruses do run their course. And most viruses are impossible to cure, but most are impossible to cure, but they are easily vaccinated. So once a vaccine is found, they take a portion of the virus itself. They inject that genetic material into your system through the virus. They can be minor reactions, but they take a portion of this so that your body recognizes it and becomes immune to it, and it builds up defense against this virus. the flu shot, um, the measles vaccine, all of them, all the vaccines from MMR to uh, all of these vaccines, they work the same way. But viruses are, they can range from something like the common cold to HIV. And it's they can be, from mild to extremely dangerous. The novel coronavirus, COVID-19, this is a virus that is, at the moment in the U.S., is killing roughly 1% of the population. There is a lot more that is having extreme adverse effects for this virus. But for most people, it's fine. When it comes in, as everybody knows, there are a large portion of the population with COVID that is symptomless, or have extremely minor symptoms. With the problem comes in with immunocompromised people. My family, my two sisters, have cystic fibrosis. They probably don't want me to say that on here, but that is something that it affects their lungs, and this COVID can be detrimental. Cancer patients on certain treatments, people with asthma, people, and a lot of others. It can be very dangerous. Viruses are an amazing and unique part of biology that needs to be studied more in depth. And we study this a lot in science, but or the scientists, I know I've rambled and I say a lot, but these things are very fascinating to anyone that actually looks into it. The simple fact that it's something that uses entirely, sorry, my air conditioner, but it relies entirely on a host to reproduce. It is basically just a piece of genetic material in protein, in a protein capsule. And this can cause so many issues from anything that's alive. Plants have viruses. Even there's bacterial phages that have viruses. Bacterial phages are viruses that target bacteria itself. So these are the shape of viruses can vary. A common shape that a lot of people recognize will be in the picture here. That is that this almost looks like a UFO or a spacecraft. And there are just a lot of different shapes. Again, each shape is dependent upon the host cell. That shape will again connect with a receptor molecule on the host cell, and it will bring that again into the cell. So they rely entirely on something else, something living to reproduce. Again, whether they're alive or not, the virus itself is alive has been up for debate, but this is just something I wanted to talk about. I don't feel good. I'm weak, and I just wanted to give you my thoughts as I was going through this. I hope you all have a blessed day and stay safe. And remember, it might be boring, but social distance, it makes the difference.